My name, by the way, is Liz Lewinson, and I am Chief Executive Officer of the Frederick P. Lenz Foundation for American Buddhism. And in the last many years, we began operations in 2002. And since that time, we've given out close to $9 million in grants and have supported over 230 different organizations. So in the scope of doing that, we also give to secular organizations that teach meditation and mindfulness. So we've supported meditation and mindfulness in prisons, in hospitals, caregiving, homelessness, veterans, many different groups. And we know that many of you and are smaller, you're resource challenged. And that was the reason we really wanted to give this webinar, AI for Nonprofits, because we knew there's experts and this was actually something, computer science in general was something that Dr. Frederick Lenz supported from the early 80s. And the two people we have on the call today, Jeff Richardson and Veronica Sanford, are experts in AI, and they just have a big range of knowledge. They're going to give you excellent perspective. I'm going to look at my notebook 1 second and just mention that Jeff, yes, he's our Lenz Foundation technical advisor, and he's also an expert in AI-driven technical transformation. He works in this all the time as an advisor to help people and big organizations implement AI and become successful. And then Veronica is another tech leader in the AI field. She actually, again, it works now in AI, and she has supported vital business functions for Buddhist nonprofits for almost 2 decades. So I think we're going to have a fun, interesting webinar, and I'm going to hand it off in 2 seconds to Jeff. I just want to say this is being recorded, and for questions, just hit your Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. Okay, Jeff, please go ahead. I'm going to turn off.
Thank you, Liz. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Just building on what you said, Liz, I want to say that our founder, Frederick Lenz, was a proponent of AI. He encouraged his students to get involved in technology and particularly in AI. So we are just uh, oh, happy, happy to be working in AI. And the reason for this seminar is because we really believe that AI can uh, have a profound impact on nonprofit organizations like the ones that we serve. And so, what we'd like to do on this call is introduce some AI success stories. Um, Learn, first of all, about your roles. We've made some assumptions about who may be on this call, but we'd like to find out in detail. Again, we'll share some success stories, but overall, we want to demystify the notion of AI because the tools that are available today are very user friendly, and we've encouraged people to have fun with this process, but also to recognize that these tools can actually help you to effectively to do more with less in terms of your own staffing and resources. So at this time, can we open the poll, Liz? Is it available?
Actually, the way to do that, everyone should see a poll button, and everyone needs to click on the poll button at the bottom of their screen.
Thank you. So if you click
And
the poll button, then you'll be presented with a questionnaire that that we'd appreciate if you could fill out for us over the next minutes. It just popped up for me.
everyone can click one or many roles. And then there's a second question. If you scroll down, Actually, I'm most on have you ever used ChatGPT? So once, and then people can take a few minutes or not, right? And because then at the end of it, you'll
Yeah,
tell.
we'll show the results.
Okay.
We'll show the results. And meanwhile, I'm sharing a little deck that we've created. Uh, this reiterates what I had suggested is that we're going to um, review some AI success stories and considerations when using AI. So generative AI is a class of artificial intelligence that generates content. That means text, images, video, audio, uh, based on prompts. And prompts is basically just you sharing in words what you would like to create. So you may have heard the term prompt engineering. That's the science, if you will, of creating those prompts. And uh, there's another term that's used a lot these days, and that's agentic AI. So agentic AI refers to AI processes that do things independently and autonomously uh, on your behalf. So those are just some basic terms that you may hear floating around. Uh, we asked about ChatGPT because it's kind of like the poster uh, app for Gen AI. It's the one that became popular immediately, and uh, it uses a chat interface to create generative, pre-trained. Uh, so it uses a chat interface on top of a thing called a generative pre-trained transformer, which is basically how these AI models work. So, or these AI tools work. So, a generative pre-trained transformer is the class of AI that allows you to make a request and get a useful, intelligent response back. So it makes this AI brain able to communicate with to understand human language and then provide human usable responses. And so you'll see it in ChatGPT and other tools that we'll talk about as well. But you'll also find that AIs may be embedded in some of the things that you use already. So if you use Google to ask uh, questions, which you can do right in the browser, then oftentimes it will respond with AI, an AI generated response. And that is powered by their answer to ChatGPT, which is called Gemini. And they embed that in the browser and uh, in some of their other tools as well. Uh, Salesforce is a company that provides tooling for companies to help manage their customer relationships. And they have a specific offering for nonprofits, and they've introduced AI into their offerings, including their nonprofit offerings, which are either free or at very low cost for nonprofits. And um, their uh, answer or their solution for AI in Salesforce nonprofit cloud is called Agent Force. And it leverages this concept of agentic AI, whereby in Salesforce you would have uh, all of your customer or your contact information, the organizations that either that you support or that support you, they're in your Salesforce database, and the agent force for nonprofits is able to manage communications for you independently in ways of your own designs. So you may have come across this, or you may be interested in checking it out. Inside of the Adobe tools, which are famous for being the creative tools, Photoshop and Illustrator for creating graphics, uh, then they also have offerings for marketers, but they've introduced a AI into those tools so that you can describe the type of image you want to create, and Adobe will create it for you. And this is embedded in the tools that you may already be using. Similarly, Microsoft is embedding AI into the Microsoft Office suite with an offering called Copilot. So you'll see AI. If you haven't used it already, you'll see it soon, and perhaps you have used it. One of the things that we wanted to do is share some success stories and 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 some use cases for AI. So generating a professional email copy is one thing that AI can help you with. And this is a prompt that one of the organizations we work with use to generate AI, excuse me, to generate emails. So I'll just read the prompt a little bit because it's really what I love about this prompt is that it's so conversational and yet very effective, so that when you're using AI, you don't have to put on a technical mindset. You can remain in a mindset that is focused on the work that you're trying to do. And so let's look at this one. This project is to improve uh, our email copy. I wish each email to be personable but professional in its brevity. The first section should be a thank you for reaching out and a reiteration of what they are requesting from me. Where appropriate, include 3 to 5 bullet points in my response. Close with a thank you and that I'm available to follow up on any further questions, and so forth. And then my signature should be as follows, and there's an example here. And the user would also presumably include the email that was making the request of them in the first place that they're responding to, so that the response would be context aware with respect to the email chain that is they're involved with. I want to go to another example as well from the same user, and this one is for creating social media posts. And the prompt is that this will be copy for social media, for Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Blue Sky, there's some additional language or prompting for what's specific to Blue Sky. Blue Sky should be kept within their limit of number of characters. There's an additional request to create an Instagram reel video for an audio speaker. So this should be short, 40 to 50 seconds to read. Use the third person, say we instead of first person. The tone should be inviting to people to join in an event, and so forth. All of this is very straightforward, very to the point, and we'll do a lab a little later to see how this works. But a prompt like this produces really good results. Success story number 3. This is the use case for an executive of a nonprofit who wanted to just review where the organization is with respect to their charter. And so what they did was they fed in the story of the organization based on their internal documents and web content. And they asked, in this case, ChatGPT, to create a strategic plan. And the result is a well-formed plan that clearly identifies the organization's goals and priorities. It allows stakeholders to come to consensus on what those goals and priorities are right now, It's a blueprint for new members of the organization to understand, what the organization uh, is intended to do and how it works, and it forms the basis for action plans. And I would say, and I'll just share that this is something that the Lenz Foundation did very recently. It was very effective. And that plan that was produced, which was a great plan by ChatGPT, was then it was edited by hand to make it to make subsequent action plans. But what it but why this was really useful is that it laid out everything clearly. There are some things that uh, the foundation had been thinking about that it elucidated, but it enhanced our material. It didn't just repeat our material, but it enhanced it uh, along the lines of a strategic plan. And it was very helpful. And it gave information that was aligned with the context of our organization as well. It wasn't just random information. And recently, Veronica, my colleague, had had has worked with a new AI tool, and she's got a really great success story for finding and winning grants with AI. So I'll stop sharing now uh, and introduce Veronica.
Hi, everyone. I am so honored to be here. I'm excited and happy and thrilled. And I will say that I attend a weekly meetup, and there's so much information out there, and there's so many meetups, things you can find online. But I learned about a tool called Notebook LM. And there will be a link after the presentation on resources, and the link to that will be on there. But I would say it's a free tool. It was developed by Google, and I'm going to give you a quick show of what it can do, but then I also want to let you know that there's a way to use this tool to develop grants that you can that I think it's going to be really exciting for you. So take just a few minutes and listen to maybe the boring part, and then we'll get into how you can develop grants using this. So this is Notebook LM. Let me share my screen. And in case you have this green bar. Okay, this is Notebook LM. Now, there's a lot of information. Sorry, that's my cheat sheet. There's a lot of information on this screen. I started with a query, a question that said AI tools for nonprofits. And then I hit discover, and it pulled up to 50 sources of information. In this particular case, it was only 10. So I'm looking at my left-hand side of the screen, all the sources. Well, that's great. I could read through all of that, but that would take a lot of time. And I'd get distracted, and who knows, all the different things that can happen. But what I can do is I can use this tool to create a mind map that will show how am I going to digest this information? So a mind map is helpful for some people to kind of give a table of contents, the benefits, the tools and applications, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, okay, that's great, but I don't want to read 10 to 50 different sources. And so it will also provide on here on the right-hand side a briefing document of all of those. And if you can see, it goes into a lot of depth, but it synthesizes all of those 10 documents. In my case, 10 documents, up to 50 on the free version. All right, so what else? Well, the other thing is that I could click on this button and it will actually give me a 13-minute podcast with two different people speaking, talking about this material. Now, of course, 13 minutes is not the same as, reading 10 documents, but I could also download that document. I could download that podcast. Well, the cool thing is with this tool, even the free version, if I click on interactive mode, I could interrupt them. So you from when I've tested it, you haven't been able to hear what the sound of this presentation is like, this podcast, but I'll do it anyway so you can kind of see what it would look like. I'll play the audio of the podcast, and then you'll see it, the speaker speaking. And then if I click join, I can ask a question. And I can ask a question like, hey, what is a generative AI? And it will think about it, and then it will start to answer my question. So I just stopped it talking because I know theoretically anyway, you can't hear it very well. But just very briefly, a couple of other things that it'll do. It'll give a FAQ. So, for example, if you have a bunch of documents for your nonprofit and you want to upload those documents, you can create an FAQ for this way. It will summarize and give an FAQ. Now, what Jeff had alluded to earlier is it's really important that you read through that document and you add that human factor because AI can be fairly cold and, can I say, robotic? So in its language. And so you've got the soul, you've got the passion, you've got the depth. And so it's really important that if you use these things as a stub for publication, that you go ahead and you bring that energy into the document itself. But anyway, this is a sample FAQ, and you could use this for a call center or whatever it is. Then there's also a timeline of the documents that were generated, but it could also give a timeline for, and I'm not seeing the timeline, probably hiding somewhere. Bottom line is, I want to get to the exciting part. So the exciting part is, and I'm going to stop sharing here for a second. I have to do this and stop share. I know I feel like I'm talking to you. I can't see your faces, but you get the idea. I can look at Jeff. So thank you, Jeff. Stay on. so, so the thing that I was hoping to tell you about is, let's say you've been in quote unquote business for a while, and you've had a number of successful grants that have already been you've already won. You can upload those documents into this tool, and the AI behind Notebook LM can digest it. And then you can ask it to search the web for grants that would be applicable based upon your company's mission statement, your nonprofit's mission statement. And then it will find those, and then you can ask it to complete the proposal for that grant. You can fill out the grant application. And once again, of course, you're going to double check it, and you're going to fact check it, and you're going to add that humanity to it. I will say that the cool thing about Notebook LM is that you can click on the reference, the source material, or the digest, and you can actually go back to the root source to verify that it is in fact true. And so that's exciting. And then, and I imagine there are probably questions here, the other couple of things to note about Notebook LM. There are a lot of expensive courses out there, and you could use Notebook LM to pull in the information, their table of contents, their agenda. You can pull in those and ask Notebook LM to create a course for you, and it's free. Okay, it doesn't have the accountability of having somebody that you're taking a course from, that you have to show up every day and nod your head and respond, but it's free. And then also the Notebook LM will not share or ingest and utilize and uh, train their model based upon any information that you share, and it won't use any other information than what you provide unless you ask it to using Discover. And then you can ask questions. And so, is there anything else I wanted to tell you about that? No, I think that's super. And that, not that I'm super, but the tool's super. And I'm really excited about the possibility of you guys using it. So I'll turn it back over to Jeff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Veronica. I wanted to talk about some considerations when using AI. Uh, there are some ethical issues that you may want to consider. And I think that everyone's ethics are personal, or every organization's ethics are their own. Um, so we'll raise these issues not so much to answer them, but just to to put them on the table for your consideration. Uh, one issue is that AI, these large language models, which power tools like ChatGPT, gain a lot of their knowledge. They're pre-trained, which means that not only they're pre-trained, but they're also self-training. So they can train themselves based on information that they find on the internet. And that's how they have such a broad uh, uh, base of knowledge, primarily. So they're using information oftentimes that's on the internet and other public sources, oftentimes without crediting the persons, the humans who actually created that information, or created the artwork, or created other intellectual property that is used to uh, create useful products by the AI. So, so that's an ethical issue that we all have to deal with. Is, are we okay with that, or not? Um, Go ahead, Veronica.
Sorry, Jeff, did you want to share your screen again?
And I thought I didn't, but I'm happy to.
Thank you.
Only because I thought I didn't want to hide behind my screen. But let me share it though, because this because we have a slide for this. Um, and that is, so we've discussed the ethical issues. The other issue is that the AI itself may be biased based on the biases of the people who created the training materials that the AI is using. So for example, I remember I heard about years ago, there was a AI that generated images based on the description. And so I think the description was, show a doctor treating children at a clinic in Africa. And uh, and so the image that was created showed a white male doctor treating African children who were Black. But there was no way to tell the AI to create that illustration with a Black doctor or with a female doctor. It would always just create a white male doctor. And so that's an example of bias, that the people who trained that AI, when they showed examples of doctors, they just showed white male doctors. And so that's all the AI knew, and it couldn't figure out how to do any other to present any other doctor. So that's an example. That's like an exaggerated example of bias. But it's important for you to know when you're using AI that it may be biased. That's and so it's our responsibility when we're using AI to review it and just make sure that we're comfortable with the content that is produced. The other thing is that AI, it doesn't just pull, or it doesn't always just pull data from some other source and present it. It actually is conversational. It can put together sentences, original sentences on its own, using complex statistical processes. It knows the next word to say, and so what's interesting about it is it seems intelligent, but it's not intelligent in the exact same way that we think of human intelligence or animal intelligence. It's its own statistical intelligence, but it's not necessarily linear, and it can hallucinate. It can tell you that it can tell you things that are like really, really wrong, like that the temperature in New York typically gets to be over 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter, right? It could say that. Uh, that's an example of a hallucination. And sometimes those hallucinations are not so blatant as that, but they're more subtle. And it's just, and I just share that to say that as users of AI, we need to be aware that it that it may be wrong, and we have to review the content and make sure that we're comfortable with it. Then there's this last bullet point: marketing, bullying, and overwhelm. So Plus AI is this exciting event, right? That we have these tools that provide so much power, and they're so easy to use, and they're available at uh, either free or for very low cost. And let me just say that we've discussed a number of tools. Many of them are free. Those that aren't free are typically work on a subscription basis, where it's 10 or 15 or $20 a month, depending on the tool. Um, but people make these things available in the hopes that ultimately you will be generating helping them to generate revenue by subscribing. But you can do a lot with free tools, and there's a lot of marketing around AI these days. You've probably seen it online, and uh, people are selling courses on AI, and they're trying to get you to use their AI tools. And then I've heard that there are cases also of bullying. That's kind of a marketing technique. It makes you feel like, oh, if you're not doing this, you're out of touch, and you really need this product or this course in order to avoid this terrible situation that you're in. And so that's the oftentimes the nature of marketing, is to make you feel a need so that you will uh, buy. And with that, for whatever reason, sometimes comes bullying, where people try to discourage you from learning if you are, over a certain age or under a certain age, or whatever the case may be. There's cases of you may be subjected to excessive marketing, to some degree of bullying, and you might just feel overwhelmed. And I would just like to suggest take a deep breath and pick maybe one AI tool that seems interesting, and make your work focused on, or make your work with the AI focused on the work that you're doing with your nonprofit organization or something that you're doing for fun, and focus on the tool and kind of learn how it works. I think we showed in the prompts that we brought up that it's just you. You could be yourself with it, and you could talk to it, and it's able to understand you and work with you. So let's move on. Veronica, would you join us and talk about
Sure.
security and privacy?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a saying that if you are using something for free, then you are the product. And that is the case of Facebook and Gemini, Google, and all these other tools where you're searching, unless privacy is guaranteed. So, generally speaking, you wouldn't want to put your social security number, your bank account, your password into a search engine. And the same is true in general, is true with these tools. Now, there are options where you could download a product, use a product only on your laptop. It's not connected to the internet. But then when you connect to the internet, who knows, you could still be hacked. So really there's a caution to be aware, be cautious, and only put in the information that um, would not destroy you if it was shared. Now, generally speaking, they will let you know. For example, with Notebook LM, they say they don't share your information, they don't use it, right? However, when you're using the tool, especially if it's not a reputable tool, it is possible for you to be hacked, and so it is something to do just a little bit of research and make sure that it's an ethical company and it's an ethical product. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So let us, Liz, can you share our poll results
Okay,
before we go into the lab? I'll
uh,
stop sharing.
I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results. Can you see this?
Yes, yes, thank you.
I don't know if everyone can. You may have to say,
It just popped right up on in a
yeah,
separate window
not
for
sure if
me.
all our participants are seeing it. Do you want me to summarize? Or,
Sure.
okay, we have 31% teachers, 29% fundraisers and grant writers, and 16% social media marketers, 6% copywriters, 7% media producers, 7% staffing HR, 44% executives, and 31% others. As far as, so we have diverse group on the call. Have you ever used ChatGPT? 78% said yes, and 22% said no.
Okay. That's really helpful. I'm curious for those who specified other. If you can answer in the Q&A, if you can just specify what uh, what role you play other than those that we had listed, that would just be helpful for us. But at this time, I'm just going to bring up my browser. Let's go into um, one of these tools. Okay, so I just have to share. We've talked a lot about text and how AI can be used to generate text documents or text that can be included in documents. But AI can also be used to generate images. Yeah, you've probably seen a lot of AI generated images on the internet. I'm using a tool called Midjourney, and this is not a free tool. It does cost about $10 a month, but it allows one to imagine an image. So uh, imagine, so I'm going to enter a prompt here. A group of young people practicing mindfulness. Uh, the image should be photorealistic. So it'll go away and work on this soon. It's waiting to start. So we can come back to that shortly. Okay, it's popping up pretty quickly. So let's see. So this is what it came up with. It's kind of cool. It gave us four different examples of what that image could look like based on the prompt we gave. Um, if I click on one of these, then it will isolate that image. And if I ask for it to vary, then it'll create a number of variants uh, of the image as well. So this is Midjourney, and it's a way to generate images. Let's see. Does anyone else have a particular type of image that they'd like to see, or we can move on to ChatGPT? And Veronica, do you have a demo or a lab prepared that you would like to present at some point?
Sure. Yeah. And
Okay.
and it is interesting. We have gotten some responses. Do you mind if I read those aloud
Oh,
of
please
what the
do.
roles are? Yeah. So healthcare provider, director of
Mm,
inclusion and belonging, program event offering coordinator, volunteer of a mindfulness program, user experience researcher and information architect, governance, nonprofit advisory board, director, board member.
mm,
And please generate an image with more diversity. I know that would mean you'd need to bring
yeah.
it up. And do you have to be on Discord to access Midjourney? Is the question.
Yes. Midjourney is, you can do it through the web browser. Answering the question about do you have to be on Discord to access Midjourney? Midjourney is provided through Discord, but Discord doesn't require a separate app. You can use it over the web. So I guess the answer is yes and no. You don't need the Discord app, but you do need, but you do interface with Discord. And okay, then let's look at this image. If I can share it again. Come on, Zoom. Thank you. Here, I'll share Discord again. Okay, and then I'll say, um, imagine a diverse group, young people, uh, listening, mindfulness. Now we could get a little more specific if we wanted to, but let's just take this one and see what Midjourney does with it. So yeah, the group is more diverse now. And that's what's really interesting to me about AI, or it's an important point. The AI won't necessarily give you exactly what you want the first time. And that's with respect to text too. Sometimes you have to give it more detailed prompts in order for it to give you a response that is most helpful to you. So that's that. Uh, Veronica,
Did you?
oh, go ahead.
Sure. That's the advantage of being psychic in the pain, is I interrupt people. So, yes, I will share something. So bear with me. And would you mind, Jeff, watching the Q&A for me, please? So in case there are any questions or thoughts on there.
Yes, I'm on it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so this is what it looks like if I go into a search engine and I type Notebook LM, then I have the option of just clicking it. I don't have to register or anything. It might be because I already have a Gmail account. I don't know. But this is what comes up when you look at this is the first screen that comes up. So I want to try Notebook LM, and you can see I've already got 2 notebooks already out there, and I can go back out there and look at it. Now I have been advised by somebody who showed me this tool that it's a good idea to save those. I haven't separately saved them because we never know, how things can get lost on our computer at any time. But at this point, I'm going to create new, and I can either upload the sources like I mentioned before with all those grants, and I will just do a quick time check. It looks like we have about 15 minutes before the end, and I think we might have a little bit of a 15-minute leeway if people can stay on. But regardless, I can go ahead and type in my question, and I don't have anything I want to upload. And I could, for example, upload my resume and have it search for open job openings, etc. But I won't do that, of course. So let's discover sources, and that's when I type in something I'm interested in. Jeff, is there anything somebody's interested in searching yet?
I'm seeing roles, but I'm not seeing
Okay.
topics for search.
I'm going to say, please find open grants available for my nonprofit Buddhist organization in the US. We could do worldwide. And now I will say that unlike the examples that I showed you earlier, this thinks for a bit. And what it did, it found 10 sources. That seems to be the average, I guess. You can see the grants, and there they are. And I import it. And then if I know of one, I can add it. But then here's the quick summary, very, very there. And I can also save it. I can add a note if I wanted to add something like whatever. Then I can generate the audio overview, like I had mentioned before on the right-hand side, the deep dive conversations. Let me pause for a second. Jeff, are there any questions? Because I'm going a little bit fast.
Grants for Buddhist projects, translation, teaching, and writing. Grants for translation of Buddhist texts.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. Okay, well, let me do this. I click the mind map and I would generate the mind map. And then, as you can see, I can generate the study guide here on the right. I can generate the briefing document, the FAQ, and the timeline. So now let's go in, and I haven't used this before, so let me see. I'm going to start typing. So it was, please also search for, you said translation of Buddhist documents?
Yes.
And was there
Buddhist.
something else?
The
And
whole,
then,
yeah.
then the other ones for grants for Buddhist projects, translation, teaching, and writing. So
Or Buddhist teaching and writing. Okay, let's see what happens. I may have to start over, so I'm going to copy that just in case I lose it. Grants for, okay, and that way, in case I have to start from scratch, I'll do that. Okay, click that. It's more esoteric, so it's taking it a little bit longer. Okay, but it's still faster than if I had to search for this, right? So there you go. I can download this. right?
Well, Veronica, you do have a couple of questions.
Okay,
I
great,
think
please.
there is a question, can the podcast be downloaded to be able to share with others, or can I link
Yes.
directly to the podcast?
Yes. Okay. So a couple things is, and thank you so much for asking. Brilliant question. Okay. On the right-hand side, up at the very top, I can share it. I can send it by email. I can send it by email, and I can also make them. I don't know if I can make them an owner. Doesn't look like I can. Um, I'm going to put in now, Liz. I know your organization does not allow this, but I will if I were to put in your email, then it could go ahead and save the whole notebook, and the person whoever's looking at that can go ahead and play around with it. That's not the same as actually doing it yourself. Okay, so the other thing, it was once you generate that deep dive conversation, you can download it. So it may take a few minutes to do that. So let's look instead at the nonprofits. Once I've loaded it, there's a vision. I guess it doesn't keep a lot in its memory, kind of like me. I have a great memory, it's just short. Um, if you can see, I can download it. I can also change the playback speed. I can't change the voices. I don't know whether or not you can change the voices on. There's a male and a female, and you can change the voices. You might be able to change the voices on a paid version, which I believe is $20 a month. But it's for it's like for 15 billion words of information. So if you get to the place where you're really comfortable doing this, then
Do you want to take some more
yeah,
questions on this right now?
sure. It's
So
up to
is
you. I know you
the
wanted to maybe do ChatGPT.
Yeah, there are a couple of questions I think that can be answered quickly.
Sure,
And that
sure.
is this searching the web or the documents in the notebook?
Right. Um, you know what? I think in this particular instance, since I added, whoops, wrong pane. In this particular instance, since I added this question, which is probably at the top instead of the one the suggested at the bottom, um, particularly those, it does look like it's searched again for the web on the web. That's my thought. I don't know. There's some things that I learned by going to YouTube. I
But
learned about this tool by going to YouTube. So you can ask a pretty quick question. Like I learned
or
about that grant idea. Go ahead, please, Jeff.
or you can not add documents and just see whether or not it gives you a response that seems relevant. And in that case, that tells you, yes, it's looking at the web as well. Someone also asked, can this only find info or sites where you don't have to log in? Generally, yes, because you may be able to, with some tool, give it the login information and ask it to go there. But I think that's a bit much. It's a bit much to ask the tool to do. That it might be faster for you to log in, gain access to the site, the pertinent information there, and then share that with the tool. I think that might be a more efficient workflow for you in general. Um, um, Generally, I mean, it's in the realm of the possible, Lauren, but but it's not a typical use case. And another one in Notebook LM, how do you write a prompt that specifies the LLM or data sources that it will use to generate responses? So, is there a place for you to specify which foundation model you're using, or does it just use whichever model it wishes to use?
When you say which foundation model, oh, I see. If you want to ask questions specifically about this particular grant,
No, no, what I mean is LLM. That's what I mean by foundation model. So
okay,
can you
could
change
you
the
answer the question? Yeah,
LLM? No, what I'm saying is I don't
on
know.
Notebook LM.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure that
No,
you can change in Notebook LM which
no. I think it's based on
LLM it's
Gemini.
using.
Yeah, it's based on Google Gemini.
Thank you. There's another question too, and that was, uh, besides the communications, how can we use AI uh, to more efficiently and effectively run a nonprofit business? And there are a couple of use cases that come to mind. One would be to find tools that would be effective for your nonprofit. So we could go into, may I, Veronica, is it it's a good time for
Yeah,
me to
but just a
go
moment.
over?
I can definitely share this document with Kali and excuse me, Liz and Jeff, and there's a briefing document on AI tools for nonprofits. So, you know, that's one of them. But yeah, Les, absolutely. Let me
Oh
stop
yeah.
sharing, and there
Now
you go.
was that
Thank you.
that was one of the documents that was just a response to your query there?
Yes, I asked AI tools for nonprofits. And
Okay.
I shared this with you last night, Jeff and Liz. So just in case you want to refer to it
Yeah.
later or share it with somebody else, then you're welcome to. I think you could share it with somebody else. It's easy to regenerate it though.
So can you see this window I'm sharing, this chat GPT window?
Yes.
Uh, please include details about access, such as URLs. URLs were, and so this is chat GPT, and it's just, I mean, I think the majority of people have used chat GPT, but using a tool like that, uh, you, you're able to get this response. It breaks down the tools by their type. So communication and collaboration tools are first, and it provides two options. Then fundraising and donor management tools appear, and then marketing and outreach tools appear, data surveys and research, project and task management. So this is just a, sorry for the scrolling. This is just an example of how you can use, and in this case, the free version of ChatGPT to get answers like this. I- I'm not comparing this to a tool that you're going to share, Veronica. I'm only doing this as an example of uh, how someone can A, use ChatGPT, and B, um, find more ways of running improving the way they run their business. Are there other do other use cases come to mind for any of us in terms of how we can better manage our nonprofit businesses?
Let me look at the chat. Um, oh, what are examples of how AI can be employed? Oh, there you go. Um, can the podcast be downloaded? And yes, sorry. Um, okay, I'm looking for new questions or prompts. One of the things I was going to say is that because I tend to get overwhelmed by all the different options and things, I get newsletters all the time about AI, is that similar to what Jeff had said earlier, is choose a tool and work on it until you run to the limitations of that tool. That's my suggestion. And then find another tool like Midjourney. Maybe ChatGPT isn't great with images or graphics, or maybe Notebook LM isn't great for the conversational stuff that you want. Maybe a tool like Perplexity is good for that, you know, with the different voices and personalities and things like that. So that's my 2 cents. But it does sort of look like we're running out of questions.
Well, I've got another response to one of the questions with respect to running a business. And another use case is actually using uh, AI to generate a request for a proposal. Let's say there's some work that you need to have done at your business. Well, then you could describe the work that you want to have done and ask for either an advertisement copy or for a request for proposal for someone to do that specific work. Similarly, if you want to add to your staff, whether it's paid uh, workers or volunteer workers, you can describe the work that you want to have done and then have a job listing generated for you in the context of whatever tool you may be using.
Jeff,
Yes, go, Veronica.
there was a question in chat. This group might like the sort of meta prompt. Can you help me come up with valuable prompts I can ask you about how my Buddhist nonprofit can be better managed? Asking it to help me think of what to ask. But before we do that, I think we're right at the bottom of the hour. Liz, did you want to say anything?
Well, I think it's let me also flip on my image for 1 second here. Um, it's kind of up to people here. I think Veronica and Jeff have indicated they'll stay on for another 15 minutes if you would like. For those who are needing to drop off now or wishing to drop off, we will have this on the video. And I think there's also been a request for a handout, at least of the deck, the slides. So when we do our follow-up email to those who registered, we'll be happy to get you the link and the slides, and maybe Veronica, you'll have one of your best things here where we could add some extra material in our mail. So it's kind of up to you. If you would like to stay, just keep asking questions, but that will be the follow-up to this webinar, and then we'll probably close it out and either when all the questions dry up or 15 minutes has passed.
Thank you.
Okay.
And would you like me to repeat the question, Jeff? Because I think I asked it and then.
Veronica, I have to step away for a moment, and
Okay, great.
I'll join as soon as I can.
That's okay. I'll go ahead and I'll answer this one, or to my best of my ability. So I'll come up with, give me a second. I'm going to use Notebook LM because it's open. And then when Jeff comes back, we can maybe do the, yes? Were you going to say something, Liz?
Well, just it seems you use Notebook LM the same way some people would go to ChatGPT, but you're just getting more out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was going to go ahead and start a new one just because your results may vary if you add, let me share my screen because I'm talking at the same time. Uh, I haven't practiced adding sources, so let me go ahead and start a new one. Come on now, be good, be good. And would you mind, Liz, watching for questions in the chat just in
Sure.
case?
Sure. Happy to.
Thank you. Especially if I need to stop and go back if somebody's stuck on a question. Can you help me come up with valuable prompts I can ask you about? I can ask about, oh yeah, that's good. So about how my Buddhist nonprofit can be better managed. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Okay. So it's pulling. I bet it'll pull 10.
That seems
Should.
general.
I'm sorry?
Is that a bit too general for prompts? How can it be better managed? Don't you have to say a little bit more? I'm asking a
Oh,
question.
you know, I have found that AI is becoming a lot more permissive about what you say. I've seen people swear at swear at the model. I kid you not. And it's very calm, you know. It depends on the model. I think some of the tools have more personality. Okay, so what does it say? Let's generate the briefing doc. And I think that would be, and by the way, you can hide the various, how would I say, you can hide the various, it's generating the briefing doc. You can hide this panel, for example. And after we're done with it, you can hide, I don't think you can hide the middle panel. Okay, that one's done. Let's open it up. And I thought I could make it bigger, but it is what it is. So here are some of the prompts. Key themes: building a strong nonprofit, board of directors, strategies. Okay, so those are the inputs. Key roles, we already sort of know what that is. We're looking for good prompts. And continuous. This is not helping me, but I bet you almost anything. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to pull up ChatGPT and see if that tool might be better. So that's kind of the advantage of having ChatGPT and then free online without, okay, OpenAI, and then I'll share again. Probably show with you all the previous chats. Here we go. So I'm going to share again. We'll see how that does. And then there's also the Microsoft product. So if you're on a Edge browser, then you can get that one too. So let's see what that one says. There you go. Much better. Sorry about that. All right. Any questions?
Here's one
Any
that
questions? Yeah.
interesting. Do you have experience with ChatGPT generating a nonprofit calendar of events from a variety of committee reports or emails?
Okay, how about this? I'm going to go into the question. I'm going to stop share. I'm going to go into the question chat, and I'm going to pull that question because it'd be faster than me typing. Okay. Research for transit. Oh, asking from Lenz. Okay, got it. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll share that with Liz. Harvey, if that's okay, would that be sufficient?
Yes.
Okay. And then generate, okay, there you go. This is the question. So generating okay, I'm going to ask that question. It may use I haven't used ChatGPT in a long time since I've been working in AI. It's kind of like the dentist kids have bad teeth kind of situation. Okay. Can you help design a process?
Are you screen sharing, Veronica, or
I meant to, and I didn't. Thank you for checking. Let me share. And this is ChatGPT. Jeff, just to fill you in, Notebook LM was abysmal. When it came to, did I just stop sharing? Sorry, guys. I meant to get rid of that little box. I'm definitely still human. That's not so bad. Okay. And so this was the question was, they wanted to generate a nonprofit calendar of events from a variety of committee reports or emails. And this was the response in ChatGPT.
Right, but
And I think,
you'd have to give it that information
yes,
somehow first.
yes. But those would be the prompts. And then, Jeff, do you want to take it away? The question is in the chat, or we've got 9 more minutes. Other questions in the chat or any other? Did this help? I don't know if it helped, but it did look like, yeah. You know what? Maybe if we had uploaded those committee reports and emails into Notebook LM, it would have been able to answer that. Or the other question, I can't remember.
Did you address the question as, can you give a sense of how much added value there is in going with a paid rather than the free version, maybe specifically for ChatGPT?
I can't speak to ChatGPT. Why don't you? I'll stop
Well,
sharing. And why
I
don't
can
you?
speak to it. I know that for example, in the free version, you don't get the ability to create images in the paid version that you do, for example. So, um, and the paid version, I think, is about $20 a month. So I think that if you find that you're hitting a wall with the free version, as Veronica said, then you may want to explore the paid version.
There's an interesting comment here, reports that indicated that ChatGPT to say please or thank you often provide a more personal response. Sam Altman mentioned that it costs them millions more in computing, but he said it was well worth it. Have you heard that before?
I've heard that, yeah, if you were polite uh, to the AI that you're chatting with, then it tends to give better responses. I've heard that comment anecdotally from a colleague.
Yeah. Just really quickly, I will say that one of the things that you can do in ChatGPT and a lot of these different AI models is you can say, please respond as if you were a corporate board member or a student or a teacher or whatever, and it will or please dummy this. Don't say dummy. Please please say this as if I were speaking to a fifth grader or whatever, and
Yes,
then
exactly.
you'll know.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the it will customize the response based on what you need, if you tell it what you need.
Any other questions?
Well, we do have a question who wants to go back to tackling resources for funding translations. And that is
Yes.
something that people in our purview do get involved with. Do you think
Yes.
that worth covering more deeply?
Well, I can, if we have 6 minutes and be fine, I can go ahead and share our, it's hiding from me, nonprofit granting. Yes. And I can share my screen again. I believe that all I need to do is share this model with you, Liz and Jeff, and then you guys can disseminate it out however you'd like. It might be that people would need to, when I share it to you, I don't know if you can share it to other people. That's the only problem. You might need to, we might, with the video, you should, quote unquote, should be able to create the same level of information on your own, but there's no guarantee. Okay, so let me share my screen again. And let's see if this was the question about grants. Did it disappear? Or am I in the wrong place? And now this is where I am not the most knowledgeable. Come on. Focus on
How about
Buddhism.
we take
Oh,
this
here
one?
it is. There it is. This finding grants in the Buddha for Buddhist projects. And I can convert to source. I don't know what that means. I think that makes it a source. But I can save this and I can also share it. So before I leave, I'll share it with both you and Jeff. Can you clarify the question in case somebody else wants to know more?
Well, I can just say, let me get back on here, see if there's more.
Right. So someone is saying, would it matter if we identified these are translations from the Tibetan? Right. So if you know that you wanted translations of Tibetan text, you would just specify that. Be as specific as possible with respect to what you want. Um, so if you only wanted grants for Tibetan translations, then you could specify that, or you could start, like I tend to start really high level and then add more refinement to get to get richer responses. So I would just ask about Buddhist texts at large first, and then I would ask again. Okay, now can you give me the same thing with respect to Tibetan texts only, so that it's so that by having multiple conversations with the tool, you give it the opportunity to kind of consider your questions from different perspectives.
Well, that's pretty much all I had. I think I've run out of steam. Full of hot air, but ran out of steam.
Okay, then I think we're going to wrap up. If there any
Oh,
final,
someone shared something that may be helpful for the group. A big Dan C, thank you for sharing this. A big benefit of to paying for ChatGPT or Claude is the ability to create custom GPTs or projects, which are like Notebook LM, in that you can add documents, notes, etc., and have the AI be able to constantly reference them to guide context. So there are lots of features in the paid version of ChatGPT that may be helpful. And they're on a subscription basis. So even if you weren't sure, but you wanted to explore, you could explore for a month and then cancel. So you're only paying, for 1 month in your journey.
I will say just one thing from my experience that's got me stuck on ChatGPT. You can upload documents easily, but there's a plus sign, which I didn't recognize I had. How the heck do I upload a document? I'm used to my little, other symbol. No, just when you go to ChatGPT anyway, just look for the plus sign. That allows you to upload your documents when you get started, because you could get stuck there for a week like I did.
I just want to put the warning back in, make sure privacy and security.
Right. That's true. I will say I thought of it and I thought, do I care if these were documents from the Lenz Foundation get shared? They were mostly about women leaders in Buddhism. And I thought, no. In fact, you can have them, Sam Altman. Put them in your database. I'm fine with it. So if you feel like what you're uploading is shareable, then maybe you're helping humanity in a different way. So
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
thank you, everybody.
And yeah,
Are we?
and Liz, you have our contact information. So if there are any questions or anything that comes up, please let us know.
It'll be on. Oh, do you want to show the final slide, Jeff, that you have in your deck? That shows what people will be seeing in their handout that they get.
I'm trying to bring it up.
This is our final slide with Jeff's email and some of the links to the programs we've spoken about. Others you may just go and Google and find them. And with that, we will be reaching out to everyone who attended with the deck, with the video, and some of the great things that Veronica produced for us. And we're considering having another meeting. We'll see how scheduling goes, but one thing we might suggest too is that when you, as we had asked before, if you have specific areas or questions, please write to Jeff, and we may end up being able to just structure another gathering where we really address those topics and keep going, because we really, in the nonprofit world, can greatly benefit, I think, everyone. And thank you for your thanks. We can all benefit from using more tools more effectively. Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And this has been a great learning time.